BP03 is supported by Timber King Sawmills. For more information on my 1220 CRZ mill, or one of many Foley hydraulic options, go to timberking.com. I absolutely love making videos. I do that for a living, and it's a lot of fun to make videos. But every now and then you got to put the camera down and get some stuff done. Video making really slows down basically everything. So I put the camera away for about a week and checked a bunch of boxes that are just individually not super significant, but they all add up. Today, it's time to get back in the swing of things, and I've got to run the sawmill for a lot of different reasons. This is my only stack of 4/4 pine that I have left. It's 140 board feet, and every bit of that's going to be sold tomorrow. So I need to replenish this for not only to keep listing for sale on the side, but also to have on hand. The entire pallet of ash is gone. That was sold to a super fine gentleman by the name of Ron. He has a YouTube channel as well. He drove over here from Texas to pick that up, so that was really cool. Good to meet you, Ron. And chit-chatted for quite a while. Could have chatted the whole day. Great guy. But this pallet is empty, so now I can fill this up with 4/4, and 4/4 is going to be super handy because that allows me to get 4x4 posts out of the center pith, which I need those I need those posts because I've got to chop into that pile of 8-footers over there because I need to make 10 4-foot beams that are anywhere between 8 and 10 inches square for another job that I found on Facebook Marketplace. A little side job that's gonna be cool. I've been needing a larger log cant for quite a while. I bought this one from Timber King. It's a Log-Rite one, and Log-Rite log cant, and it is 48 inches aluminum, and that's going to be much better than my, where is it? That short one. Log Ox, I think is what that one is. And I need a longer one because I've got some larger diameter logs. I showed these hickory logs being loaded on my trailer, but I did not record taking them off. They damaged the back end of my trailer, so I'm gonna have to keep reinvesting in the whole process. You know how it goes. This is the butt section log of hickory, and it's 28 inches diameter, 24 inches diameter. I forget the exact length, but I put it into an online calculator, and this one weighs approximately 2,800 pounds. I've got it set up on a couple pieces of 2x4 material and some stuff to stop it from rolling over there so I can get underneath it with pallet forks. Way heavier than what my tractor can lift, right? My tractor has a loader lift capacity of 2,200 pounds. That's 28 by itself. Well, then you also have to take into consideration the pallet forks or the grapple, whatever I'm going to put on there to pick it up. I had the grapple on there. Nope, not picking it up at all. I put the pallet forks on there, and it actually lifted it up. So I was like, oh, buddy, way over capacity of the loader, but maybe, just maybe, I can move it and get it into place and all that. Well, I was able to. This was in the way in the driveway over there where that sawhorse is for a while. I was able to pick it up. I'm talking about like an inch off the ground, not much at all. And we did one of those like 55-point turns to have as little pressure as possible on my 4-wheel drive drivetrain. So I got it over to here out of the way, and I know that I could lift it up with the pallet forks just ever so carefully. So I think when I get around to doing this, I'm going to take the pallet forks off to reduce weight on the loader and put the loader right over the top of it, and use some straps to the bar on the loader. Maybe, I don't know, I really shouldn't pick this up, but I just want to get it on a sawmill, you know what I'm saying? So I may pick it up, I may not, just depends on how confident I feel with the whole process. Maybe put some ramps on the side of the sawmill with the pallet forks maybe, and just kind of push it up the ramp so I'm not quite picking it up completely to set it on. I don't know, but I'm gonna try and do it as safe as possible. And if that doesn't work, then I'm gonna have to split it right down the middle with a chainsaw. I'll have to get a ripping chain from my chainsaw and split it right down the middle, which I don't want to do, but that's last case scenario. This other log, this other one, This one was next up on the tree. So it is, other than this knot right here and here, it's basically a cylinder, 24 inches, 24 inches. The problem is, and I don't blame the people who cut this down. This was cut down at a church, and some of the church members helped do all this stuff. And you know, I'm guessing that these people are not loggers, no fault of their own. And they cut into it right here, and that is, let me see if I can't look it down it, kind of get a better angle. That's about how far it went into the log. So not quite the halfway point, but quarter to a third of the way in. That kind of sucks. And there's another one over there on that side that's getting lost in the shadow. So they were initially going to keep cutting it up, and eventually something told them to stop it and give this away as a log. So for lumber, and I think what I'm going to do is probably finish that cut. I'm going to finish that cut, and then we have some this side over here. I'll probably slab it up for, like, you know, coffee table type slabs. I'll probably slab this up as well, and then have some different options as far as the lumber goes. And then that one, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but maybe just get some lumber out of it. Anyway, the church this came from, the gentleman who helped take it down and whatnot, he asked for a little bit of the material back so that they could build a table for the church, which I think is a fantastic idea. So I've got to get around to this sooner rather than later, but that's definitely in the cards. Oh, when I cut this in half right there, not in half, when I cut that right there, I'll definitely be able to put each side of that on the mill, no problem at all with my grapple. So that's going to be the easy task. That one, I'm still leaning towards using the pallet forks and some ramps on the side of the sawmill to just kind of push it and pick it and push it and pick it and push it and pick it, so I'm not like using the entire loader capacity to lift it up and get it up there. But that's going to be an interesting challenge to get that up there. I also cleaned this side up quite a bit with the mulcher. I have the Bomalite mulcher still on the tractor, so the other day I was like, you know what, let's just get some of these tall grasses knocked back so I can see the stumps. And it's such a blessing, or such a benefit, to leave all these stumps up, because I knew I was not going to get around to mulching the stumps into the ground just yet. So with them up, I know where they are, because a couple of them I did take them down already, and I hit them with the mulcher, and that was that was no fun. But I need to get a rotary cutter. Well, guess what? I've got a rotary cutter. It's not the one that I really want just yet, size wise anyway. But I got this bartering with doing some work with Nathan. This is his old rotary cutter. He's got a bigger one, 6 foot if not mistaken. This is a 4 foot, so it's not quite as wide as my tractor. I want one at the minimum as the width of my tractor, but I'm definitely going to be using this in the meantime. It needs some work. I forget exactly what's going on, but somewhere in between the gearbox and the blades, there's something that I've got to work on there. He told it to me, and I'm going blank. I can't remember what exactly it was. So I'll tear into that in the next couple weeks or so and get it going and get it operational. At the very least, it'll be a little bit easier to cut all this stuff down than the mulcher. And I say that because the mulcher is fantastic for thicker stuff that you just pulverize, but this thin grass, it's not the most efficient, we'll say. All right, I just caught myself rambling on about something that's pretty much irrelevant right now, so I got to shut up and get to work. I've got a lot of stuff that I've got to start milling up. I've got plenty of actual daylight hours left to keep going with one by stuff, but Jamie and Tyler K just got home. They've been gone all day, and from a business perspective, I should keep working. From a life perspective, I'm gonna go hang out with them.
After I clean them, they go on this pallet once we get started?
Yep. This is, yeah, we're doing one buys. I'm gonna keep the 4x4 separate, but the goal is to build up a substantial one buys. So we're just gonna run through a bunch of logs, one buys. I'm gonna put the need to be cut agains up here, and I'm gonna try and put all of the cuts out here. My definition of it doesn't need to be cut again. Is it, you know the little edges on the boards right there, the bark areas? That's called wane, same spelling as Mr. Wayne Brown. It's called wane, and the way I'm determining whether or not it needs to be cut again is if I don't like this, but if one side has none of it, it's done. I'm not going to chase it down further to get rid of that, so long as one side has it all. Now, I would prefer, if you don't mind, to stack it, if you remember. If not, no big deal. But if you stack it so this side is up, that way we can look at it and be like, all right, well, this has got a little bit of wane on it. see how many hours we have left on this thing. Left, not left on it. That's how many hours. 23 hours and 40 minutes we have accumulated. Big difference between accumulated and left. The past few days sure have felt really productive. Like I said, that ash went to a gentleman by the name of Ron in Texas. Ron's got a YouTube channel. I'll post it, a link to it as well. You can check that out. He used to be a truck driver, so I guess it wasn't nothing for him to drive through the night out to here. He picked it up and then drove back home to Texas. I think he stopped and took a nap somewhere. I hope he did. Oh my goodness, I hope he did. It was like 600 miles, something like that. But anyway, the ash is gone. Mr. Ron, it was a pleasure meeting you, and good luck with whatever you build with that ash. That pallet of 1x pine inside, it's gone. Yesterday morning, Tony Webb came and picked it up. Tony's a good guy. It's the second time he's been here picking up material, and he's got an Etsy shop. I'll post a link to his Etsy shop. You can check that out. Check out some of the stuff that he makes. Both those guys, just really cool dudes. Got that done. Got the Facebook Marketplace beam job done. These beams are currently 8-footers, going to be cut in half for 4-footers, and hopefully that continues, because that's a really good way for me to get rid of some of this less than desirable pine. And he's just using these beams to elevate propane tanks off the ground for sandblasting, so they don't have to look like anything. They're just there for structure and take abuse. Fantastic use of this pine. That was an initial batch of 10 4-foot beams, so 5 8-foot beams, and he initially said he wanted 25, but you're going to start with 10, so that's something that's going to continue to go along. He also said that he wanted some rustic. The more rustic the better, the more rough the better, I think is what he said, for building out some walls in his shop, similar to what I'm doing here in my shop. So that's good networking going forward. Oh yeah, the pallet that I'm leaning up against right now. Jamie worked her butt off stacking all of this, and I'm very fortunate that she works her butt off the way that she does. She is not afraid of hard work. That is a fantastic character trait. 5 logs right here, and I know it's 5 logs because there's 5 4x4 posts up there, 5 of the center pith, just chilling. And I think this is a good way to actually stack all of this stuff. I don't necessarily need to stack the 4x4s separate. Just stack them on top of the pile. A little bit of weight to go on top. I do need to band this. If you have some type of mechanical band system that doesn't break the bank, that actually works pretty good, let me know. I'm looking for recommendations on that to band, all this lumber together for a little bit long-term storage, so it doesn't go crazy. I'm looking for that, but in the meantime, just throw a little bit of weight on top and it will be okay. I just had a bunch of lumber dry out in the shop to a moisture content lower than my workbench in about a month, by the way. I'll throw that out there. So anyway, what I'm doing seems to be working as far as putting a fan on it, air drying it, and then putting it in the shop for a little bit. Ultimately, I want to store it outside, out and about, but I'm not sure where just yet, and I don't have enough volume to even worry about that just yet. This is going to live with the fan on it for about a few days minimum to eliminate the surface moisture, to reduce or eliminate the surface mold that happens here in Mississippi. It's so humid all the time, and if I don't put a fan on it, I've learned that the mold will come, and if I do put a fan on it, mold is pretty much eliminated, at least for a few days out here. And then in the shop, if I do move this into the shop, about a week, I'll put a fan on it in there, and then it seems to be just fine. Anyway, that was a lot of work, and felt good to get it all done. This is my slab pile on these sawhorses, quite a bit. And you know what? I'm not sure how much of this is going to be going through the chipper. I'm not sure how much it's going to go into the next raised bed, because we're going to continue doing that. We're going to do a bunch of those. But what I do want to do is probably take all of this and chainsaw it into about 16-inch length, something like that, for our fire pit. We've got a Brio Y series smokeless fire pit. Well, it's not really smokeless. You have to have like the perfect conditions for it to be truly smokeless. It's drastically reduced smoke, we'll say. But last night we stayed out here when the sun went down, lit a fire, and just looked up at the stars. There's not a cloud in the sky last night. We live far enough away from the city lights to where we don't have light pollution, and you can just, I mean, you can see everything. Speaking of see everything, there's not a straight line cloud, we'll say, in sight. It is beautifully blue, not this hazy white that we've had for years. It's interesting, the government shuts down and the sky goes clear. But that's a topic for a whole different YouTube channel, we'll say. Anyway, I want to cut all this into some smaller sections to pile up next to the fire pit, because that was a lot of fun last night. I want to get back in the habit of that. In our last house, at our last house, we had a bigger Brio fire pit. It was the X30, if I'm not mistaken. Big fire pit. And almost every night for a few months right before we left, I'd light a fire and I'd just go sit out there and chill by myself until anyone else wanted to come hang out and play guitar by the fire and just not do anything with technology. It's so relaxing, so much fun to do that. And if you do that for the last hour or two before bed, I promise you sleep better at night. I promise you. Staying away from all screens an hour or two before bed, you're gonna sleep better.